Hello, welcome to our very first episode. We are a new podcast of three best friends that have known each other since high school that love fantasy books. Here we are doing what we love most, which is obviously reading, theorizing, and having a great time together. From meeting in high school to reading Harry Potter, Twilight, and Mortal Instruments series to reading Fourth Wing and ACOTAR, we are all back to rereading Fourth Wing to prepare for the upcoming release of Onyx Storm. So we created this podcast, right? For the recap and to theorize together. I'm Carolina and I'm a new mom. My son is 6 months old. What got me back into reading, can you guess? Fourth Wing. It completely made me fall in love with reading all over again and got me into creating this podcast with my best friends. And I hope you enjoy our podcast and have fun.
Hey everyone, I'm Isabella or Bella and currently working a 9 to 5 and on my dreams on the side. I have always loved to read. Scholastic time in school was my Disney World, the pet store, and the zoo all wrapped in one. I went from reading The Babysitter's Club, The Boxcar Children, and Pippi Longstocking to the books that Carol mentioned, especially Harry Potter. We are huge Potterheads here. During college, I took a break from young adult and fantasy to begin reading more nonfiction because I thought I'm too old for fairy stories. Boy, was I wrong.
Damn, you were.
Yeah, you were.
Damn right. Damn right. No one is ever too old to read about a passionate, hot, and sweaty adventure. Yes, and as much as I loved reading about other topics, like when Carol introduced me to fantasy through Fourth Wing, I felt my passion for reading rise again like a phoenix from the ashes with an unquenchable thirst for stories again.
Okay, girl.
It felt like
Okay, girl. Get it, girl.
I swear that's how it felt. It felt like I found a missing piece of myself that I never knew was gone, and being reunited with that part of myself again felt like coming home. What was once a hobby for me now became a therapeutic activity, and now I get to do this with my high school besties, and we hope you enjoy it.
I just want to share to everybody who obviously can't see, but Bella had the mic in her hand right now. She's giving brat. She's giving brat right now.
That's right.
Love that energy.
I am Estefania. I'm a mom to 3-year-old twins, and I've been an avid reader since my teens. Obviously, I read the best vampire series in the whole wide world, which is, can you guess? Twilight.
Throwback. Oh, God.
Throwback. But it's like my peak. It's like my number one, guys.
Yeah.
I started my journey into fantasy. Twilight started my journey into fantasy romance novels. Team Edward, of course. But since then, I've read hundreds of books and left the fantasy realm for a few years and read strictly romance smut. The smuttier, the better. Because a girl just wants to fall in love all the time.
That's right.
But Fourth Wing combined my love for smut and romance with the best fantasy world with amazing political plots. Now I'm here doing a podcast with my best friends from high school, the girls who went with me every time to every Twilight movie midnight premiere. And I'm going to say, this may be aging us a little bit, but back in the day, there was no reserving seats, guys.
Yes.
We were front row and center.
There was no reserving seats, okay? So you had to be there early.
Yeah, on time.
Early,
on time,
on
early.
time. So guess who was there? Me, Carol, and Bella, all right? Because we were crazy. If I can show you some of my Facebook statuses from back in the day, right before the Twilight movies would come out or premiere, it's just me and Carol and Bella saying, like, when can we get tickets to the freaking movie? Which is so funny to me. It's honestly the best. And I am so happy that I get to do this with them because we've just gone through reading so many amazing novels like The Mortal Instruments, Hush, Fallen, and Divergent. And now we're here reading Fourth Wing together, Guitar, so many other amazing stories out there. So I'm so happy you're all here to listen to our very first recording.
Yay.
Yes.
Welcome.
And we hope you enjoy. But before we start, we just have to mention content warnings. There will be spoilers for the entire book of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, including all of Xaden's POV chapters. If you have not read any of these books, including his new POVs, please come back once you do. We wouldn't want to spoil anything for you. Also, we may mention interviews or posts from Rebecca Yarros, so spoilers with that also, just a fair warning. We will be quoting a lot of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros in this episode. This podcast is rated R due to the topics that we discuss about an adult book.
Hotter.
Also, we tend to possibly curse a lot too, so just beware of children listening. Okay, let's get into it, ladies.
We're a very naughty podcast.
Kids are sleeping.
Podcast.
Kids are sleeping.
They're all asleep. No kids here.
No children allowed. It is 9 p.m. and mamas and ballerina are ready.
That's right.
Okay.
Let's get into it, right? Chapter, recap, and theories. We're going to start with chapter 1. So this episode is chapters 1 through 4. We were going to do chapters 1 through 7, but we quickly found out that chapters 1 through 4 was loaded with hefty information. So we had to break it up. So let's start by chapter 1. I'm just going to read the description that's before the chapter. So obviously, a dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A rider without their dragon is dead. Article 1, Section 1 in the Dragon Riders Codex.
Boom.
We begin the chapter with Violet acknowledging that it's conscription day. And also, she's treading up the stairs with a heavy rucksack. She mentions how physically weak she feels carrying it up to General Thorngale's office. Violet has been living at Beskayeth War College for the last few years with her parents, General Thorngale and her late father. We learned that Violet has been training and preparing for the Riders Quadrant for 6 months, while her older sister Mira and her brother Brennan, both notably in the Riders Quadrant, are off in service. In the meantime, since she has been at Beskayeth, she has been training and preparing herself to join the Scribe Quadrant. There are 4 quadrants at Beskayeth College: Healers, Scribes, Infantry, and Riders. The Riders Quadrant being the elite of elite. They have dragons.
It's funny, I thought that I was a scribe, and the entire time reading the series, I'm like, I'm a scribe.
You definitely are a scribe.
I love to.
You are a scribe.
Yeah, but then I'm like, oh no, but the writers are so cool. Like they have so much adventure. But I guess I'll accept it. I'm already accepting that I'm a Hufflepuff, so might as well accept that I'm a scribe. So
you're totally a Hufflepuff, and you're totally a scribe for sure, through and through.
Through and through.
Actually, I want to be a mender, right? You could be a writer, and your segment could be a mender like Brennan. That would be combining my most loving, doting mommy, big sister vibe into my also Latina, feisty vibe. So I think I'm a mender.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it
I can see that.
Actually, I'll go right there with you. I will be a mender with you.
Amen.
So sweet.
Honestly, it is just so crazy. As you guys can hear, we've gotten so much information in the first 2 pages of Fourth Wing. The influx of information in the world building jumps you from the comfort of your home straight into Navarre. We continue on with hearing, "You're sending her to die," from the one woman with, excuse my language, balls to raise her voice to General Thorngale, the one, the only, Mira Thorngale, older sister to Violet. Mira, the ever older sister, is worried about Violet going to the Riders Quadrant. She knows Violet's health and physical strength is not great, and moreover, she knows Violet would prefer to be joining the quadrant she's been training her whole life for. The Scribes, the one quadrant Bella is going to go to. That's where that's what she wants to be training.
Beeline to the Scribes.
Violet does not have a death wish, and she knows that conscription day is the deadliest day, and that she may even die. Knowing all of this, Mira comes back for the first time in years to talk to their mom about stopping Violet from risking her life to join the Riders. Mira is described as the younger version of their mother, a rider through and through. Tall, with strong, powerful muscles, short golden brown hair, and most importantly, her skin glows with health. Violet knows she's everything I'm not. In a moment of vulnerability and grief, Violet's mother looks over her daughter, pale skin, pale eyes, pale hair, she says. A fever. That a fever, she says, that stole all your coloring, along with your strength. We learned that Violet spent most of her time in the library with her father, a scribe, ever since her family moved to Biscayas. And all that changed a year ago when her father's heart failed and he died.
Before we move on, I just want to mention Bella found out Violet having a fever was actually in her father's library. Is there somehow venom or their magic that already is inside Basgaiath
Could
that's
be.
affecting them? Could
Definitely.
Who knows at this point, right? So could the fever that affected Violet potentially what killed her father? Also, I am also convinced that her mother knows something about the scribes and how deadly they are.
Sorengale knows something we don't know, and she has
I know she hasn't told us. And is it the scribes that killed her dad? Just something to think about.
food for thought. Later
Yeah.
on in this book, and more in Iron Flame, we find out that the scribes are little plot master sneaky. That's all I'm
Tisk
saying.
tisk.
I want you all to keep your eyes and ears on those scribes. I want to know that once her father died, something must have scared her mother enough to change the trajectory of Violet's life from training and preparing to become a scribe to her mother forcing Violet to begin intensely training to join the Writer's Quadrant. Personally, I feel like there's some missing information for why her mother pushed Violet to become a writer. Some unknown classified information her mother knows. I will highlight that her mother specifically says, I will not watch one of my children enter the scribe quadrant, Violet. This quote will come back to play in later episodes. She has been holding back information, and we know Mama Thorngale is very, I feel like she's a rule follower. So I think, but she also knows what she needs to do. And when it comes to her children, she is a mother first. I admire that from her.
Yeah.
I know she's hard on her daughter, but I think that the situation causes her to do what she needs to do no matter what.
Okay, I just want to know Violet says, I will handle myself. The word will is emphasized. Rebecca Yarros puts this here intentionally. When Violet says something, it will happen. Is it possible that this early on in the story, her powers is already on the page? What could the signet
Mm.
possibly be?
Mhm.
Yeah. Good point. That's a really good point.
Fate plays a big role in this story because already on page 16, possibility of what her signet could be, her second signet. This is a theory of mine, but let's see. I am also, as I said before, convinced her mom knows of Violet's fate on this reread.
I absolutely agree with this. As stated before in the earlier chapter, something has changed for Violet's mom to make her daughter and train and prepare for the writer's quadrant. Something is just so fishy there. Mama Thorngale knows what she's doing.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
mamas know best.
Always.
That's right. That's right. Shortly after Violet's mom is talking to Mira, Mira is arguing with her for Violet not to go to the Writer's Quadrant. So Mira states, then undo it, which is also emphasized, by the way. She spent her whole life training to become a scribe. She wasn't raised to be a writer. Then her mother replies, she certainly isn't you, is she, Lieutenant Sorringale? This has so much more meaning on this reread. It definitely shows me that her mom knows something. I am convinced that her mom knows that Violet is the mind of a scribe and the heart of a writer that Andarna has been waiting for. Could her mom have known something about the dragons? Absolutely. Do you think we will find out? I think so. I think
Absolutely,
somewhere
absolutely.
down the line there is going to be some type of reveal. Not sure how, but of course, Mama Sorrengail is going to come back somehow.
Violet struggles with the thoughts and beliefs of her family. Mira, while she comes from a place of protectiveness, she continues to point out all of Violet's inadequacies. Mira states Violet has broken her arm earlier that year and she sprains some joints every other day, adding in the fact that Violet's height will not be enough to mount a dragon. I want to note that Violet's height will not be enough to mount a dragon. Now, small little spoiler, but I hope if you are here and you're listening, you're rereading this with us. Mira had trouble later on keeping her mount. She was born fragile. So, this is something that I feel like really affects Violet's self esteem. She has a lot of, I feel like a lot of self esteem because of all her health issues that she has. So, I just really want to note that even here, Violet's worst fear is she won't be able to mount a dragon. Dragons don't bond fragile women, they incinerate them. That is the main thought of Violet. As we continue in the office of General Thorngale, Mira and her mom continue disagreeing on Violet's capabilities in surviving Conscription Day. Mira's main fear is losing another sibling since we learn they have lost their brother 5 years earlier in the Terrorist Rebellion. Out of both women, we learn that their mother has complete trust and belief that her daughter will survive the Riders Quadrant, a compliment that shocks Violet. She may come off cold, but she is going to be a mother first. Beyond career and beyond her choices that she makes, her children come first.
So here we see that General Sorrengail's storm-wielding signet makes an appearance when Mira asks her mother if she is eager to bury another child. And the temperature plummets in the room, and this comment prompts her to kick out Mira from her office.
The politics of Bethgaieth, General Thorngale reminds Violet she won't get special treatment for being her daughter. Here we see Mama Thorngale is always going to be a little bit cutthroat and a little bit cold. She reminds her daughter that being a Thorngale will get her more haters. Her mom tells her she won't even acknowledge her for the next 3 years. I want to side note, my kids are 3 years old. Can you imagine not acknowledging a 3 years a whole
That's a
that's a
long
really
time.
long
I am
3 years.
just hoping we find out more later why she did what she did, but let's see.
I think it's because from what I've read later in the chapters is that the school doesn't allow you to communicate with the people outside of the college, and maybe that's why she's applying the same rules to her as
I know,
well,
but
even
that's cold. Like
yeah,
my kids are
that's
3 years
true.
old. That's like a whole life. That's a three. So much
Yeah,
can happen in 3 years. But
Oh my God.
true.
I
Absolutely.
digress. In the following
Yeah.
scene, we see Mira help Violet lighten her rucksack, pack accordingly, and give her a new outfit and a pair of rubber soled boots in the place of the smooth soled boots Violet has. A distraught Violet who has ever only wanted to dedicate herself to books. I wish I could only dedicate myself to books. This
I
not
feel her pain.
Seriously.
I mean
I hope so
I
too.
mean, I wish I didn't have to go to work. I wish I could sit on my couch and read all day long. I feel you, Violet. I want to be that. She's upset to see her sister toss out her books, especially one given by her father, an old book of, and I quote our dear Mira, a folklore about dark wielding vermin and their wyvern. As Violet quickly corrects her sister, she says that they're not vermin, they're venom. The one book Mira lets her sister bring with her is a book for killing people. I'm sorry. I just find that to be so funny. It just shows who Mira is. She's just like, wait,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this one, yes, kill people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
so
this is
true.
what you'll need to know for the next 3 years.
The most special piece of attire is the vest Mira specifically designed and made just for Violet using her dragon teen scale.
I actually just wanted to make a note here that Violet's childhood bedtime story. So it was about people channeling powers without being a bonded writer, leading to red-eyed venom snatching you away. It just shows like how much like her father read that to her or how much she's read it over time. But it's interesting, very
Very
interesting.
interesting.
Hmm.
My favorite quote of this chapter is Mira saying, "You're the smartest woman I know. Don't forget that. Your brain is your best weapon. Outsmart them, Violet. Do you hear me? It encapsulates all her fears and worries for her baby sister surviving this one day and the rest of her time at Bexayak. Mira is a loving big sister first overall. She knows that Violet is smart and she has the knowledge to not only survive but thrive.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, when Mira asks Violet, can you use a sword? Violet then says she's pretty quick with daggers, but in her head she thinks, quote, really damn quick, lightning quick. I love
Mm.
how so early on in these pages we already have insight on her main signet. Her obvious first signet with Taryn being her lightning. I just love, love, love it.
That's a really good observation there. And I've also noticed on that page, I think it was the same page, on page 9, another mention about Violet's appearance after Mira suggests cutting her hair because the liability and she will look like a target because of her light ends.
Yeah.
It says natural pigment seems to gradually abandon it no matter the length. Eyes are indecisive, a light hazel of varying blues and ambers, more evidence that she is connected to something or someone. And here's my theory, right? When she's
Theory,
yeah,
theory,
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 theory.
yeah,
theory. Woo, woo, woo.
yes. So this is gonna be a rough draft because I didn't think about it too much. But um, so we know that Violet bonds with two dragons, right? Adarna and Tyrion. She has two different color hairs and two different kind of eyes. There's two different types of traits with her and two different dragons. Could this be
Oh.
like a blend of her, right? Like a
Ooh.
different, like a,
That's
You're onto something because I
Bella.
never actually noticed that.
listen, I got goosebumps, guys. Like,
Bella.
Bella, that was good,
That
girl.
was a really good
I
Damn.
got
theory.
chills.
I really
Thank
enjoy
you.
that theory. I really do enjoy that.
Wow.
Once I think Carol, you mentioned Adarna and Taryn, and then I was thinking about we were talking about like the looks and stuff, and like I was like, whoa, wait,
That's actually a great point. I never even thought about that. That's amazing. Now that I think of it, I'm like, oh my God.
I did. That was really
we'll
good.
see.
We shall see.
Mhm.
Together, Mira and Violet make their way through the administrative building to the courtyard. In their last moments, Mira hugs Violet and reminds her not to die. She also tells Vi to find Dane Ados. We learn Violet has had what I call heart eye emoji for Dane.
Oh God.
uh, uh,
Sorry. Ugh. This part's gonna be rough to listen to.
yeah, seriously.
Though she hasn't seen him in a year since Dane joined the Writers' Quadrant. They have been friends, and she really does miss him. I want to be clear here. Obviously, this podcast is not Team Dane. Ever the big sister, Mira encourages her sisters to find someone who isn't a second or third year like Zane to, how can I say this? Let off some.
Steam.
The last conversation Mira and Violet have is Mira giving her sister tips on how to survive the parapet. If you are like me and didn't know what a parapet was or looked like and Googled it, I'm here to save your day. A parapet is a low protective wall along the edge of a roof, bridge, or balcony. In this particular instance, it is connecting the two buildings. It is over a river, which is why it's so daunting. I want to talk about personally myself. I am an ebook girly. I had plenty Nook. I reading apps on my phone, and now I have a Kindle. It has helped me so much. Search up any word and then learn the learn it and gain more vocabulary, and I get to use it in my everyday life. It really is a really awesome perk. Alongside being a mom, being able to read in dark mode, I used to rock my babies when we were having a really hard time in the room in the pitch black. And I used to put my phone on dark mode, open up my Nook or my Kindle or my Libby app and or my iBooks app also. I'm telling you, I have so many reading apps. It's crazy. And all of them have like hundreds of books on them. As much as I know people are love holding a good book in their hands. For me, I'm an overstimulated mommy who needs to be in the dark and quiet, and e-readers give that to me. I need less stimulation, less sensation, and more clearing brain out vibes. So I am an e-book girly. I just want to note that. So use your ebook to its potential. Use this Define app. Use the lookup. I am able to see what I highlighted, look at it quickly, see where exactly it is, look at the context, go to the next one. If there's something I'm looking for, it's so easy. It's all there. This is me, not an ad. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm not getting paid anything for this. Just I'm getting paid in good vibes and love for my girls. But
That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah, can I say it's because I'm more of like a physical book person, but I realized that like one of the perks of having an ebook is that it's lightweight. Like it's thin, you can put it in your purse, you can do whatever. So if you have a big ass book like The
I
Fourth
get
Wing
hand
or
cramps. Am
anything,
I a baby? Because I get hand cramps. I'm over hand cramps. I'm
such a
over
big
here.
baby.
Yeah, that's a babe. Like I can't.
That's why you guys need to have a paperback and that little like wooden thing. You ever see the wooden thing that
Oh,
like stretches out the
I
pages?
have,
No,
I
I
Yeah.
have
have
seen that.
not, and that just seems like
But
so much work.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
but I am finishing the last book in Crescent City. Don't worry, no spoilers here. But it is physical book, and it's a
Ooh,
big one. I'm
ready.
like, I'm struggling.
Ooh.
Guys,
Okay.
guys, the only books I have in physical copy is the Twilight series, okay? And I've read those books.
Whoa.
Wow.
Girls,
Never give that away.
never. Physical, hard copy. Those books are thick. They're thicker than
They
a
are.
bowl of oatmeal. All right. They're so thick. And I reread them so many times because I am a comfort Twilight girly, especially on a rainy day. That says enough about me, okay? I'm old and I'm tired and I love Twilight.
Noted.
Perfect.
Don't worry,
Perfect.
I'm old too. The only copies I have is Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, and now Crescent City. So that's it. But getting back to the parapet, just to remind everyone how Rebecca describes the parapet, which is 18 inches wide and 200 feet above the ground. Just want
Scary,
to know.
scary, scary. I am not like always afraid of heights, but like I can find how daunting it is. Also, it was like thunderstorming, guys. In this part where Violet has to go, it's like full on
Yeah.
thunder. Anyway, in the midst of all of this, we see some cadets who are about to cross the parapet. A young woman that reminds Vi of the Queen of Gods, Amari, and a man who is saying goodbye to a lover. The man who Violet notes is a Separates kid with a shimmering mark that begins at his wrist, a relic from the rebellion given to all the Separates kids by General Melgreen's dragon as a punishment. And here is the biggest, most important Mira's warning. Guys, the blood drains from her face as she urgently tells Violet to
Don't.
stay the hell away from Zayden Ryers. We were prepped thoroughly, and I don't care what you say, Mira. I love him.
Even his name looks good on a page, okay? Look at that. Look how good it looks.
Uh,
Zayden
Yeah.
Ryerson. Just the
I
name
mean,
alone.
Seriously.
I'm
Beautiful.
sorry. I'm sorry, Mira. I'm sorry. That is, you can't, that's dangling some candy in front of my face and then saying, I can't have it. All right. I'm going to go have it.
Hmm.
Even if like just a little lick.
A little tasty, tasty.
Just a little taste.
Zayden's father was the great betrayer. He led the rebellion, and Zayden will kill her the second he finds out who Vi is. Zayden is also a third year, a wing leader.
And just wanted to note here that the majority of the rebellions came from Tyrrendor. I think they were mentioning because Mira was giving her a little bit of a like history lesson, and most of them came from that place.
The last scene between Vi and his sister is Mira saying, Don't die, Violet. I'd hate to be an only child. This is a sentiment between both sisters that carries out throughout the book. As an older sister myself, I feel Mira so much. I would do anything and everything to protect my little sisters and
Brother, Violet begins to climb the stairs to the parapet. She meets and talks to Rhiannon and Dylan, another One trails behind them with the most nasty attitude. Boy, bye.
Violet trades one book with Reed, noticing her books are smooth-soled like the boots Violet was originally wearing. As they make their way to the entrance, there are three riders, and here is where we finally put a face to the name, a
Oh,
face
beautiful.
that makes Vi's heart literally stop. Violet notes, he is so fucking hot. Gets you in trouble.
We all just love him very much. That's all
Very
I
much,
have to
very
say.
much.
Yeah.
Gets you in trouble and you like it level hot. But as soon as his name is called out, Vi realizes this scorching hot man is the one man who would literally kill her on sight. We quickly learn that his hatred for her soul name is so deep, he hates her instantly as soon as he
Or does he?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say else.
he uses his hate, Avi,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
hide his feelings, but he hates her because he likes her. It's like it gives third grade boy hitting you because he likes you.
Yes, yes, that's
It
perfect.
gives
Times 1,000.
8-year-old boy being mean to you because he likes you. I'm just saying, that's what it
Yeah,
gives.
so true. So
Uh,
true.
literally. Times 1,000 because she thinks he's literally trying to kill her. Oh, God. Anyway,
Zayden, Zayden tells us that General Thorngale, Violet's mother, captured and oversaw Zayden's father, Fen Ryerson's execution. Violet tells us that Zayden's father killed her brother, Brennan. Zayden does not like this comparison at all. We know we can't blame him. It is not a fair
Mhm.
comparison. And in that instant, we get our first parapet death. Dylan, the man who was saying goodbye to his lover in the courtyard, is gone. Oof, guys.
Yo, I was so sad. I did not expect that. I forgot that happened, and I was just like, "Ah, oh my God!" Like,
when it happened, I think that's what hooked me in officially because I was like, "Oh my God," because she really described him like he had
mhm.
has his girlfriend. He was gonna propose to her when he graduated, blah blah blah, and then boom, oh, he's dead, fell off the parapet. I was like, "What
I know.
in
Yeah,
the
like
world is going on?"
It
yeah, like
proves
she
it
made you
though.
think that he was going to be there.
The story is just something. I'm just saying. I know this was long-winded. This first chapter, and I know I was just talking so much, but there's just so much that cannot be left unsaid or not noted. The influx of information is needed. It is crucial because Rebecca is setting up the stage. She's setting the stage for all of us to find out what's going to go on in the next 3 years at Biscayeth. I want to make sure that the points are pointed out and remembered. So that was chapter one, ladies and gents.
Going into chapter 2, quote, there's a misconception that it's killed or be killed in the writer's quadrant. Writers as a whole aren't out to assassinate other cadets unless there's a shortage of dragons that year or a cadet is a liability to their wing. Then things may get interesting. End quote. And this is by Major Offender's Guide to the Writer's Quadrant, unauthorized edition, right at the beginning of the chapter.
We begin chapter two with Violet telling herself she will not die today. There's so much noise in Violet's head at the moment. She just saw someone she knew by name fall to their death. Baden is glaring at her, and behind her, Jack fucking Barlow is talking shit, acting like he is hot shit. When in reality, he's just shit. I don't understand where his arrogance came from. I just truly don't. I don't get it. He's so shitty from the
All of
beginning.
us,
He's
I
just
know.
so
And where did it
shitty.
come from?
Where
He
did it come
literally
from?
just hates her from the jump.
For
What is
no reason.
happening?
They're just talking and he's there spewing some bullshit. I'm sorry. He's like a little fly. He's like the background fly. This prompts Ree, the girl she traded booths with. She begins her walk on the parapet.
And at this moment, it's important to note that Violet says, quote, Thunder cracks above me, and the sound oddly comforting. I've always loved the nights where storms beat against the fortress window, both illuminating and throwing shadows. Enough said, no comment.
Storm, illuminating, shadows. Shout
Yes.
out to our shadow daddy.
Yes.
We love you, Zayden, very much. But who do you think the storms is? Because clearly illuminating and shadows.
Well, it's her, right? Because in those
Yeah.
moments where her and Jaden,
True. Yeah, no.
there it's like lightning and storming outside. It freaking blows out the window in the room.
But I think she's
So
just
true.
lightning, like storms.
That's the thing, is this mentioning maybe a connection between her and Zayden or a connection with her signet?
I think it's her, Zayden, and then maybe somebody else.
Oh yes. I just clicked right now what you just meant.
What? There's something there. I don't know what it is, but it's you know what? And we are talking about Arik.
There is a TikTok theory out there that is all over Book Talk, actually, that Arik and Violet it's going to be like a love triangle of sorts. Don't know how that's going to happen, but I did see it online and I nearly fainted.
I just don't need another Vampire Diaries, Damon and Stefan.
That was an emotional roller coaster.
You know what?
Can I just say, just for everyone that doesn't know us, we love Vampire Diaries, and we would go to Bella's house in high school. We would go to Bella's house every Thursday. This is how you know we are dedicated Vampire Diaries fans. Every Thursday, we would go to her house and watch the new episode. Also, and that's when it first came out. Also shows our age, but anyway, moving on.
I think that's where we all fell in love with tall, broody, dark,
morally gray
men like
Team Damon.
Salva.
Actually, I loved Klaus. Actually, Klaus girls.
And Klaus.
I'm here. That's my boo right there. Bella would always make fun of me. I remember that, but I love him.
No, you know something? I actually started having a crush on him later on too.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, during what's the spinoff of that? It was with
Originals.
The originals.
The Originals. Yes, that's right.
Violet begins her walk across the parapet. The one calming thing for Violet is to distract herself by reciting facts, logic, history. And in this moment, through Violet, we get a history lesson of the continent. The continent's two kingdoms have been at war for 400 years. Navarre is home to Violet, with one of the largest provinces being Terrandor, which was the last to join the alliance and swear fealty to King Reginald. 627 years later, Terrandor attempted to succeed. Terrandor failed. Jack the asshole pushes someone off the parapet. What is wrong with this man? And he starts to come for Violet. As Violet continues to recite history to calm her nerves, she finally crosses the parapet, with Jack missing her by a breath. We begin to see Violet's quick skills with daggers as she hops off the parapet and aims her dagger straight on Jack's balls. I am howling.
And that's literally why I started laughing in the beginning of this when you started saying Jack the asshole.
Jack threatens murder, and this is how chapter 2 ends. I love a good, slow and steady reread, because the first time when you're reading the story, it's so captivating. You just want to find out the answers as soon as possible.
And Violet is constantly second guessing herself. She has spent her life content and happy not to put herself in danger, and within a year her father dies and her mother demands her to go to the Riders Quadrant. She didn't want to be like Mira and Brennan, risking her life, riding dragons. She wanted the cold, hard facts. She thrives on information. She finds comfort at the library and in books. She needs the truth to function. Second segment. maybe.
I'm just saying that the last
No.
POV, Zayden POV we got, not wait, it wasn't Zayden's POV, right? It
It
was
was the blurb.
the blurb we got by Rebecca Yarros on Onyx Storm. I don't know if she can literally throw it in our face any harder. I just feel like she is a truth slayer. Like that is her second signet. That is her signet she gets from oh my god. How many more signs can Rebecca give us?
Seriously.
I want to note that when she finally crosses the parapet and after she has Jack by the literal ball, we find out she actually injured her knee. Her control over her mind is amazing. She has kept her composure until she felt safe. Jack fucking Barlow was dropped as a baby. Or I just feel like he has some interesting ties that brought him to Biscayeth because he is so psycho from the get. We literally see him murder someone as soon as we meet him. Something personally, I believe he came in with an agenda.
And I was actually convinced that he was Venom going into crossing the parapet. I literally was like, there's no way. So on the reread, I was paying so much close attention to when she describes him. And when she described his eyes, it only described glacier blue eyes. So I was like, damn, like, he's just an asshole. He literally just fucking hates her for no reason that we know of right now. But she didn't describe anything that he would appear to be Venom.
I just feel like it's weird because when we see him later on in chapters, quote unquote, die, he like gets brought back. But like why? What is there? Why is he special? Why are they trying to save him? Why? Why? Why?
That's
Yeah.
actually a good point. Is he somebody else? I don't know.
I was actually gonna say I wonder if his history, like family history, any history of him was ever mentioned in the books, like in both books.
Not
I
that I
wonder.
I
remember,
don't remember
but
that
we
either.
shall find out soon on this
Yeah,
reread.
I think you guys have a point there that maybe there is something that he's not just a regular person because so far we've got a little bit of the family history between most of the characters, and he's the only one that's like a mystery when he's a total psychopath. So
Something's
so
weird
we'll
there.
see. Yeah. But can I also just point out that at the end of this chapter, I like how we get a bit of a history and geography lesson in the beginning of the chapter because there's quite a few political connections that start to intertwine more with the plot. And also, it just makes Navarre seem more realistic. No, it just makes it seem more realistic. And that's what I like about when authors do a lot of world building and they include politics or the culture, religion, and the geography. That's what makes it really brings it more to life. So I think Rebecca did a great job with that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate
She sure did.
learning the history and learning the background, what's going on in the continent, especially because this is set at a war college. So
Yeah.
these history facts, all of that is very important to the story. And it is important for us as the reader to know why there even is a war college.
We're going to go right into chapter 3. On the description above chapter 3, it is describing blue dragons. It describes them as the most ruthless, and a rare blue daggertail dragon can apparently disembowel an enemy with one flick. And who is our rare blue daggertail? Our
Good,
girl Sigale. We
good
love you, boo.
girl. Baby girl.
We love your sass. Violet crossed the parapet and decided not to chop Jack's balls off. Jack is so odd. He literally leans over and breathes her in.
Creep.
On this reread, this was literally the part that I'm like, there's something up with him. Obviously, he is literally a psychopath. But there's something more to him because who the hell would do that? Who would lean over and breathe her in? That made me think of, is he a hound dog making sure he has her scent? I just don't understand. But that was just interesting to note. So her and Rhiannon celebrate that they made it across the parapet, and she thanks her for switching her boot with her. Dane appears and sees Violet for the first time, and she describes him as gorgeous.
Our homegirl was in love,
Yeah,
Carolina.
whatever,
She
whatever.
was vibing with Dane before they.
Team Zayden all the way.
But she was vibing with him. They've been best friends since they were kids.
Yeah,
And
whatever. Yeah, whatever.
I'm just saying, she was in love. She was in love.
She didn't know any better at the time.
She sees him and he's basically like, what the fuck are you doing here? Takes her to the side to help her calm down. I love the back and forth between Dane and Rhea in this moment. Rhea was like, I got her back without question. The loyalty is unmatched here. Rhea was even like, who the fuck are you to Dane? I love Rhea. She was like, who are you and what are you doing to my friend here?
Something I noted and comes more into play is that Violet tells us that Dane's father is her mother's most trusted advisor. But we, the readers slash rereaders, know this is a lie. So how long has he been playing our girl, Mama Soaringale?
Seriously. More to come in these books that she's coming out
Or
with.
maybe,
So let's see.
maybe Mama Soaringale was playing him. No trust is there. No trust.
Maybe Mama Soaringale knew how to play the game. And she played it well if she did. Just
Yeah.
saying. We're going back to Dane. Also, the fact that he doesn't believe her when she says she's fine, and the fact that he touches her sides in that moment is really irking me. He doesn't even ask her, he just does it, not believing that she's okay. If she says she's fine, there is no need to run your hands down her sides. What the fuck? Dane needs to sit all the way down. Boundaries, my guy.
I
Boundaries.
personally never like a man who is so self-righteous to believe he knows better than another person. Like the fact he is upset and pissed off that she's there, rather than being proud of her. She made it past the parapet. It pisses me off.
Dane also showing that who he is in this college. He also mentioned how he's squad leader, flame section, second wing. He basically tells Reed to tell the quote redhead end quote to put her and Violet
Redhead.
in his squad.
Sorry. Just this little
No, so-
redhead. Was it this little redhead? I don't know. This little redhead. I don't know. So I just think it's weird that he tells Reed to go to her so that
Yeah.
they can be both put into his squad. I think that's he was
Oh,
like
yeah.
he was doing the deeds with her, and now he's asking her for favors on his best friend Blue Thing. I don't know.
Dane takes Violet to his room to wrap her knee, and they have a genuine moment where two best friends missed each other. Dane even stops for a moment and tells her he misses her, and it's nice to see her face, even though he is concerned that she's in the writer's quadrant.
This moment highlights Vi's feelings for Dane. She has been lusting for him. She's been hoping that their friendship takes the next step, and she's hoping he feels the same way about her.
Once they leave Dane's room, Dane is trying to sneak Vi back to the scribe quadrant, and once Violet realizes, what are you doing? In her mind, she's one, my mom would kill me, and two, I just want to say he has zero faith in Violet. Although Violet doesn't realize this yet, but she definitely got this. She is smart and she just crossed the damn parapet. Give our girl some damn credit, okay?
That's right.
Who do they think he is to make decisions for Violet without her approval?
And what bothers me the most is Dane saying, quote, please let me save you. Which I understand he's concerned for his best friend, but, huge but there, she did not ask him to save her. She didn't ask him for help at all. And I just think he needs to have faith in his friend, especially since she becomes a total badass.
Preach. Dane, like Mira, underestimates Violet, except her mother. So that's very strange. I remember, Carol, you said that her mother definitely knows something, and you too, Steph, like that she knows something about Violet that no one else does. And this new environment is ruthless. And we see on page 26 how important it is to be strong, quote unquote, because quote, a squad, a section, a wing is only as effective as its weakest link. And if that link breaks, it puts everyone in danger, end quote. So Mira and Dane have never seen Violet in a dangerous environment before and use her looks to justify her potential. But as I said before, as Carol mentioned, her mother seems to know more than they do about Violet.
Oh, she does. Violet arrives at the courtyard for formation
to see which squad and section she will be placed in. She meets up with Ree immediately in this scene. I love that their friendship is blooming already. She notices that Xaden is among the other riders on the dais. First of all, I just have to say, I love how she's already noticing when he's around. Just saying. Commander Panchek, forgive me if I'm butchering his name, states that 301 cadets survived the parapet today and 67 did not, which is just wow. It really just demonstrates how dangerous this quadrant really is. And it really sets the tone for this college and how Vi is always in survival mode and a state of danger.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just goes to show like how much just how intense the politics are over there and how, I guess, like important it plays into this. Because even like Violet, she mentions that almost 27% did not make it, and that's more than the average. So why is it increasing? It may not mean anything, just worth noting in case there is something about that.
And on a reread, there is one thing I completely forgot about that someone mentioned that Panchik wants General Sorengale's position and eventually Melgreen's position. What happens to him? I don't remember. This is why it's so good to do a reread because I am remembering so many things. But this is also where we find out from Violet of General Melgreen's signet, which is the ability to see a battle's outcome before it happens. I find it interesting that Coda, who is General Melgreen's dragon, gives the rebel children their relic, but more on that on another episode. Panchek is basically like, you will be tested every waking moment, and about a quarter of the cadets will survive until threshing. He also enforces that discipline falls to your squad leader, then to your wing leader, and the last line until Panchek gets involved. He states, quote, you don't want me involved. Shoot, I wouldn't either. This guy sounds scary as hell. His best advice, you ask? Don't die. Wow, amazing.
This college is crazy. I
So motivating.
would not want to enroll there. I get the dragons thing, but like it's all like die and
It
like,
is so scary. I can't imagine going to this. Actually, it's obviously super cool. You get to have a dragon, stuff like that. But in real life, oh my God, I would have adrenaline all the time just running through my veins because I'd be so scared.
I would need to be heavily medicated to get through it. My anxiety would just be like out of control.
Naira, who is senior wing leader of the quadrant, speaks up to announce the cadets to be ready to take their positions in their assigned sections. She is described as brunette woman with wide shoulders and a scarred sneer. The way the squads are divided up is 3 squads in each section and 3 sections in each of the 4 wings. So immediately, Jack is placed in Flame's section of the first wing. Tara is in the tail section, second wing. Ree and Vi are in the second squad, Flame's section, second wing, which ends up being Dane's squad. Vi says in her wing there is 4 riders. That might be 2 second or third years and 9 first years. Vi sees who we now know as Imogen in this moment. She describes her as, quote, one of the riders with 2 stars on her uniform and half-shaved, half-pink hair, has a rebellion relic that winds around her forearm, her wrist to above her elbow, where it disappears under her uniform. Then, ladies and gentlemen, she notices Xaden watching her with a, quote, a cold, calculating look that feels like he's plotting my death from where he stands as wing leader for the 4th wing, end quote. I just have to say, every time Xaden says anything, I am hyper-focusing on what he says, okay, or what he does. I will quote a lot about him. So
No complaints here.
No, right? Everyone loves that. So there is a silent battle going on between them in this moment, and I am here for it. Quote, I lift my chin. He cocks his scarred eyebrow and then says something to second wing leader, end quote. Xaden is 100% was like, give me Dane's section, and that's exactly what our boy gets. So Naira turns to Dane and orders him to switch squads with Ara Banehaven. Can I just point out that Xaden slightly tilts his lips in this moment. He's, ha, I won. Which from the bonus Zayden POVs, we got totally fits into something Zayden would do. He loves to win. Going back to this, Violet is totally panicking, which if I was her, I would be too. I don't blame her at all. Her wing leader is the one person Mira told her to stay away from because she warned that he would kill her. And two, they didn't have the best first exchange. From his eyes right now, it does seem like he wants to kill her. As I just mentioned, his POV staring contest with Dane, he just had a staring contest with Vi, and she just says, quote, finally breaking our staring contest. I'm pretty sure he won, end quote. And this part had me laughing so hard, especially because we get a POV chapter of his little staring contests. And we have insight to how he is. Anyway, love you, Zayden. I love you so much. Anyway, so Zayden ends up giving a little speech, basically saying, oh, y'all think you're big and bad because you just crossed the parapet? And what is flying their way at high speed, you ask? Dragons. The dragon perch up on the wall in the courtyard, and Vi is in awe of them. Who wouldn't be, right? She's always been around dragons, but from afar, so in this moment, she is in complete awe of how close they are. Quote, a few cadets scream. Guess everyone wants to be a dragon rider until they're 20 feet away from one. This is what Zayden wanted to demonstrate. Oh, you think you got what it takes to be a dragon rider? Here's one up close and see how you react. I personally would probably be afraid as well. Yeah.
I think I'll be like too scared to run away, and that's good because they wouldn't kick into predatory mode and chase after me. But
unfortunately, how some cadets just did. Yeah, we'll get to that in 1 second. I love how, looking back on this reread, it is Sigale to be the one that blasts steam in Violet's face, and is the blue dragon that's right in front of her. Violet sees that there are 8 dragons that arrived in the courtyard, 3 red, 2 green, 1 brown, 1 orange, and 1 blue. Violet says, quote, they're massive, overshadowing the structure of the citadel as they narrow their golden eyes at us in absolute judgment. Violet in her head as describing the alliance the humans have with the dragons, that the dragons basically use the humans for the signets that they can get humans to channel, and they both use this alliance to protect each other's homes. For the dragons, it's to protect the Vale from the merciless griffins, quote unquote. More to discuss later for another episode.
Yes, and it also mentioned that once bonded, dragons can live without their riders, but riders cannot live without their dragons, which is why they need to choose very carefully and for a strong person.
Liam. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so this part gets crazy. A random cadet bolts out of the third wing after the sight of these dragons, heading for the Stone Keep. And oh my god, when I read this for the first time, the red dragon goes and burns up the cadet for fleeing. Already being like, what the fuck from that situation, Vi closes her eyes and just feels heat on either side of her. Now the death toll went up to 70 for the day. Oh my god, I can't even imagine being in that situation, how frightening that might have been in that moment. I definitely am. I am the healer's quadrant, actually. I am the healer's quadrant.
You just don't know what to expect here. Like, people are going to die. The people you love and care for probably will die. So Rebecca,
I'm scared of Onyx Storm.
Scares me.
I'm so scared. And to think it couldn't get worse. But before that, the navy blue dragon, who we can now assume is our girl Sigale, hey boo, and I just want to quote, seems to tilt its head at me as if narrow golden eyes can see straight through me, to the fear fisting my stomach and the doubt curled insidiously around my heart. Now, what are your thoughts on what that dragon might be thinking in that moment at Violet? What do you think Sigale is thinking in that moment? Is she like, there's something up with you? Or is she like, who the hell are you and who do you think you are? Like, I just really wish we could get a little Sigale POV.
I think that she has known Zayden for the last 3 years since they bonded, and he has been able to keep his composure. We know with the staring contest, with switching over the squad to his wing. She's obviously curious. I feel like she's curious. She is a sassy girl. She is what is going on. We know in all of Zayden's POVs, when we get conversations between them two, she is sassy. She is feisty, and
We love
homegirl
our
loves.
girl.
And also, she's also did with Zayden, like through the mind, emotions, all that kind of stuff. So whatever he's feeling, she's feeling, vice versa. So it's like she knows that he's like, he doesn't like her, that he has this hate or something with her. So that's my opinion. I don't know.
Well, she
Yeah.
Maybe
definitely
she's
knows
just
because
sensing
she
his
knows
emotion.
because she was bonded to Zayden's grandfather, if I'm getting that right. So she knows history. She knows the history between the Storingales and the Ryersons. I
Oh
know
yeah.
she's what's got you up in arms over this girl over here.
True.
She's sizing her
She's,
up.
oh,
She's
you're
doing.
the Soaring Gale girl?
Amen.
Yeah.
Or she heard Zayden through the bond thinking about Violet in his hatred, his quote unquote hatred for her. And she's, oh, this is the girl you're talking about, making her whole squad switch to be in your wing. I could definitely see her being sassy also in this moment,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Her out to say like, because maybe something else from Zayden, like maybe like attraction or something like that, and she goes,
maybe,
"Oh,
maybe.
you? Let's see if you can handle me." I don't
Yeah.
know.
I just love Sigale so much. So Violet repeats her mantra in this moment, I will not die today. And she lifts her chin and shoulders, and the navy blue dragon just blinks. So Sigale's, oh, that's how I got out. She was like, oh, okay.
Violet's like, put some respect on my name. And Gail's
That's
like,
right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So Zayden being Zayden, is anyone else want to run? Y'all good? Okay, let's move on. He continues on saying that no one cares who you are here, and you're not invincible. One thing I want to point out that I just noticed here, quote, even King Taris, forgive my pronunciation, everybody, English is also not my first language, second son died during his threshing. Was this Aric's brother that he killed? I don't know if this was him. I definitely have to look back in Iron Flame to see what went on there, but I just wanted to point that out for us to circle back to this.
same. There's definitely something there.
Zayden pretty much scares the living life out of the remaining cadets. And that was chapter 3. Going into chapter 4, the chapter starts by Captain Fitzgibbons reading the names on the death toll on the dais with 2 scribes.
Yes, and their souls are commended to Malik, the god of death.
And Via's in her uniform, described as a single silver 4-pointed star on my collarbone, the mark of a first year, and the 4th wing patch on my shoulder. So the first years sleep in the barracks, and there is basically no privacy here for her during this time. And you get your own room and flight leathers once you survive threshing. And can I just say, I cannot take how Vi describes Dane again in these chapters on a reread. I just can't.
Okay, but give a girl Vi a break. She has been feeling him for years, and they were best friends. They grew up together, so we can't fault her.
The Skyeth honestly changed him, not her. And let me quote our boy Dane, it cuts away the bullshit, the niceties, revealing who you are at your core. We know who you are at your core, Dane. We know.
Today, they are sparring. Dane is not being the friendly, funny guy she's always known. And even Ree notices that and tells her he does a good job at hiding that he knows Violet. This is actually the first time the gauntlet is mentioned. And I'm going to quote this whole section explaining the gauntlet. Quote, the terrifying vertical obstacle course that they told us we'll have to master when the leaves turn colors in 2 months. If we can complete the final gauntlet, we'll walk through the natural box canyon above it that leads to the flight field for presentation, where this year's dragons willing to bond will get their first look at the remaining cadets. 2 days after that, threshing will occur in the valley beneath the citadel.
This is where we meet Sawyer and Riddoch in this scene. Sawyer, who is described as tall, wiry cadet whose light complexion is covered with freckles, and we learn that he is one of the repeats. He didn't get to bond during threshing last year and now has to start the entire year
Our poor
over.
little cutie.
And I
know.
know. And we also get to meet Riddock, described as a smartass, saying better than being dead when Ree was saying how hard it must have been for Sawyer to repeat the first year. Riddock is described as dark brown hair flopping against the brown skin of his forehead with every step the shorter cadet takes.
So they're in the courtyard about to head to class, and Dane is bird whistling to her, and apparently that's what they used to do as kids. I'm sorry, I just rolled my eyes when I was reading that. As she said, her heart leaked seeing Dane. Just spare me.
See,
So
be
Dane is
nice.
also
Be nice to a poor girl, Violet, all right?
no.
She has been through things. Okay?
Well, she's about to get into bigger things.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if my mom listens to this, okay, so Dane is signaling for Violet to come to the staircase, and not only does Vi notice Dane, so does our girl Ree. Ree, already being a good friend, tells Violet she will meet her in class and grab her pack for her. Love seeing their friendship blossom on this reread. Ree is like, girl, my bed is right next to yours. Just stop. It's no big deal. Go see a man. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
She's a good
So,
bestie.
That's a good
She's a
friend.
good bestie girl.
mhm.
I got you. I'll cover for you. I get your bag. I get your stuff. I pack up for you. I act like you're there.
Exactly.
That's the kind of bestie you need sometimes
Mhm.
when you're
Yeah.
feeling a little
That's so
toxic.
A little toxic. We've all been there.
That's
So,
right.
as
Yeah.
Violet enters the room, she's in a rotunda, and she's describing how beautiful it is. But what I find interesting is that she sees 6 daunting marble pillars carved into dragons in the colors red, green, brown, orange, blue, and black, which
Uh,
are all the colors of the dragons. But we're
there's a
missing our
little
girl
a
Antarma.
little special dragon that hasn't had in many years. Our baby
Mm-hmm.
girl Adarna knows her worth, and she is
Mhm.
only coming for one girl and one girl only. This
Mhm.
is what's great about reread and a slow reread and this podcast. It's so that we can all remember because, again, like I said before, there's so much information in these beginning chapters. There's so much. I just feel like even us, we may forget. We may not remember things. And that's why we're here together. This is our
That's
intimate
right.
book club. This is our intimate time where we can say different theories, we can call each other out on things that we got wrong or ideas that we don't agree with. This is what this podcast is for. It's for us to basically remember together. We're not going to remember all the facts. We're not going to. I've read probably like 100 books since I read Fourth Growing. What
We're
it's
Yeah.
all
for.
gonna remember together.
Yeah, seriously, I'm just remembering as I go a little bit sometimes.
So I also just have to laugh in this moment where Dane is like, "How's your knee? And did anyone try to screw you last night?" And Violet replies, quote, "Would it be so bad if they did?" Violet,
Dirty birdie.
Lord. Dane being the bore is, ugh, Violet, that's not what I meant. I get Dane's concern. Trust me, I do. But again, no faith in our girl here. Zero. Come on, telling her to cut her hair. I love how Violet talks back in this moment, telling Dane, quote, "Don't start with me." Good. Don't let him just do what he wants. It's her
Mm.
life and she takes control of it as best as she could, of course, given her mom forced her into the quadrant. So Violet goes and says, quote, "Why was our squad moved from second wing to fourth yesterday?" And he basically
Mm.
responds that Zayden wants you dead. So pretty much according to Violet, Zayden wants to be able to, quote, punish her, to get back at her mother. So she is rightfully freaking out. Who wouldn't? Dane, being Dane, is assuring Violet that he will protect her. Blah, blah, blah. Dane
Learn
states that
quickly that he never protects her.
no,
Mhm.
clearly never. He just talks a lot. Dane states that he's going to see if he can get a second year to stand guard in battle brief, which Violet replies saying that Zayden is not going to kill her during battle brief, but Dane retorts and says, quote, "I wouldn't put it past him. He's fucking ruthless, Violet. Why do you think his dragon chose him?" Then Violet realizes that the navy blue dragon was indeed our girl, Sigale, and confirms that she's a blue daggertail. From the beginning of chapter 3, she's the rare dragon. Dane
Mhm.
also notes that most dragons steer clear of Sigil because of her viciousness.
Her sassiness, her feistiness. She's a strong, independent woman. All right. She's a
She
strong,
is. We love
independent
her.
blue dragon.
But what I find interesting here is Violet noticing Dane has a dragon and she doesn't even know what his powers are and who he is anymore. She's like, "Where is my best friend from when we were kids?" For a refresher, quote, every rider can do lesser magic once their dragon begins channeling power to them. But the signet is the unique ability that stands out, the strongest skill that results from each unique bond between dragon and rider. Some riders have the same signet, fire wielding, ice wielding, and water wielding, which are considered the most common signets. But then there are signets that make riders extraordinary, and at this point we know of Mama Sorrengail and Melgreen's. Violet outright asks him what his signet is to Dane. And Dane admits to Violet that his signet is, quote, I can read a person's recent memories, but, quote, not like an intrinsic reads minds or anything. I have to put my hands on the person, so I'm not a security risk. But my signet's not common knowledge. I think they'll use me in intelligence. End quote.
We know that
Mm.
he's being used.
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out is that I didn't notice on a first read that he points to his compass patch beneath his fourth wing one on his shoulder, which signifies that his signet is classified. I didn't know that
Mm.
in the beginning. I didn't really pay attention. It's just interesting that it's right there. Violet notices that Xaden didn't have any patches on his uniform, and she's already noticing things about her man. Just saying. But back to Dane, just makes me take notice of how many times Dane physically touches Violet and what he can read in those short moments throughout this time. So Violet says she has to go to class and Dane has to go to flight field. But before he departs, telling Violet yet again to watch out for Xaden and he will find a way to come after you within the rules of the Codex. He also mentions his close friendship with Amber Mavis and how the Codex is sacred to the wing leaders. Also, guys, I noted this. As she heads to class, the hair on the back of my neck stand up and a chill races down my spine as I cross the center of the rotunda. And then my steps halt. Cadets move around me, but my eyes are drawn upward toward to the top of the steps that lead to the gathering hall. End quote. She sees Xaden watching her with narrowed eyes. I just have to point out this is possibly him using his intrinsic powers in this moment, and how connected these two characters already are. She just decided to look up towards him immediately. It's like she also knew where he was without even knowing.
Yes, absolutely. I
Mhm.
agree with this. Her mind is very powerful. So she has a lot of control over her mind. Her whole life is based on the truth. I think that any weird feelings, anything that she feels, she knows because she knows herself and she knows the truth. And I think it's saying a lot for that awareness she has for Zayden and in these moments where he may be possibly using his signet on her.
I believe that.
Yep. So Xaden is just staring at her, and poor Violet is, oh my God, is he going to kill me right here, right now? He even says the
Dramatic. It's a
marble.
little bit dramatic.
Well, you want to hear dramatic? Listen to this. So she even says the marble floor is gray, so it shouldn't be hard for the staff to get the blood out. He is in full panic and thinks he's legit going to kill her. Oh my God, this poor girl. Quote, his head tilts and he studies me with the most impossibly dark eyes, like he's deciding where I'm most vulnerable, end quote. What do you think Xaden is thinking in this moment?
I think he's maybe trying to read her or trying to like size her up, and maybe he's attracted to her and he's fighting with maybe some feelings inside of, oh, this she's my enemy, but she's also really cute. She's my enemy, but she's really cute. I don't
It's
know.
given 8-year-old boy who has a crush on you. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I agree.
So Xaden's attention shifts, glancing to Violet's right, and he lifts a single brow at Violet, and Dane emerges again, basically saying to Violet, what are you still doing here? Violet shows Dane why, and Xaden says, quote, I already knew your parents are tight, but do you two have to be so fucking obvious, end quote, while giving them a cruel smile. I need jealous Xaden immediately.
I love broody, morally gray men. Demeanor, the better. I just love it when he's mean to her.
He's just so perfect. And I hope there's no one that hasn't read Fourth Wing because they'll definitely think something's wrong with us in this moment. But anyway, so this interaction right now, I have to quote the entire thing. So Zayden quote, "Let me guess, childhood friends, first loves even," end quote. Violet says to Dane, quote, "He can't hurt you without cause, right? Without cause and calling a quorum of wing leaders because you're squad leader. Article 4, Section 3, end quote." But Dane says, yes, that's true, but not for Violet. Zayden says, quote, "I expected you to do a better job of hiding where your affections lie, Atos," end quote. And Dane tells Violet to run immediately. Thoughts?
So Zayden already feels like he has to keep his eye on Violet, whether it's because he wants to kill her or he wants to
F
her. JK. The F I'm talking about is figure her out.
Nice, nice. We see what you did
You
there.
got me.
Overall, it's because he doesn't trust her, which comes up more when he spots Dane with her because he obviously does not trust him. He knows that Dane is using his signet for something.
Yeah. I think I actually just think about it now. It's like when she said that he was observing her as if trying to find out like where she's most vulnerable. I wonder if of his signet, he's like trying to, yeah, find out what her vulnerable spots are mentally or everything, trying to
Yeah,
figure that out.
yeah,
And
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
like
yeah,
here's this guy that he's known for a year, Dane, who Zayden does not trust Dane. He knows where Dane's mind is. He knows what Dane wants. Zayden,
He also knows what they're planning to do with Dane.
right? He
right.
knows all of
Oh,
this.
maybe Zayn already knows that what Dane's signet is, and that maybe he's a little bit like I guess wary of him because he has an ability that is also very intrusive. Dane is very controlling. He seems like he's just someone who is like just needs to I guess control Violet, right? Try to make sure that she's okay. No, you're gonna come with me. No, we're gonna take you here. No, are you okay? What's like just all up in her business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zayden sees that.
Yeah, and I just think that Zayden can read Dane's what
Intentions.
can read
Oh
Dane's
yes.
intentions. And so here we have
Yes.
Violet, who he meets, and she is best friends with Dane. They have a
Mhm.
friendship, they are close. He sees them in private. He sees Dane basically breaking some rules that, Dane is a rule follower. He's a good little soldier. And he sees that. And
Mhm.
so he's like, okay, here's this girl who I already don't like because she's a Sorringale. And here's this guy who I know is a sneak and a fake. So what is going on here?
So true. Yeah, he probably already knows Dane's intentions from the get-go, and he's weary of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that wraps up chapter 4. And
Mhm.
I just have to say thank you to whoever is listening. And to Steph and Bella, thank you so much for also going on this journey.
Guys, I just want to share that Carolina over here, newborn mom, she's a new mom, wife, has Bella and me with her amazing idea to start this podcast. If she does not have anything more to do, she's adding this podcast to her life. And I'm so grateful to have this opportunity. Reading has helped me so much. It has helped my mental health so much. It is something I find so much comfort in. And when I am able to escape into a world, it has just really saved my life. If you are a reader, you know what I'm talking about. And to be able to do this podcast and talk about books with my best friends who I've known for like my whole life, who we've seen so much of our lives, because it's very hard to keep friends. It's very hard to have long friendships, and yet here I am having a very long friendship with two girls who I've known and who, we really have experienced a lot, and we've always connected on a much deeper level because we love to read and we love fantasy and we love vampires and we love werewolves and we love dragons and we love fairies. We love it all. So I'm very
Yes, we
grateful.
do.
I am thankful. I am so thankful for you guys. Even if right now we only have one listener. Um, I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful that you are here and you're taking the time to listen to us, to be here with us. We are just your local trio of best friends enjoying each other's company and talking about what we love the most, books.
Couldn't have said it better. You said it literally
Yeah.
perfectly. And I just want to
Yeah.
say thank you. And to stay tuned on our next episode. Like we said earlier, we could not fit chapters 5 through 7 in this episode, or else we would be here for 5 hours. So
Hmm.
stay tuned for our next episode, which will covers chapters 5 through 7, and we will be posting a new episode every week.
Yes, thank you for being here with us on our first grand adventure together, and we are glad that you were able to tune in. Until next time, the Enchanted Circle Pod.